The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
West Tigers podcast, episode number 433. Joined by Steve Stretton on a Thursday night. Spring has sprung, Steve. It's weather's changed a little bit, and the Tigers are about to disappear for 6 months.
Yeah, it's come around all too soon, hasn't it? Like it's hard to get overly motivated for this weekend's game because of that, but it's a pretty important game, I reckon. I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Yeah, lots of jeopardy still on the ladder, Steve. Like, no matter what happens, I guess it shouldn't change our overriding thoughts on what's been a season of progress, but we're sitting in 11th, and if we lose, we can drop as low as 15th. So you'd like to think they don't go there in holiday mode.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, mate. Like that's why I think it's really important because finishing 15th is not a good look.
Mm.
It just doesn't sit well that's how we've finished our season. We've sort of improved 2 places. Now I know people can say, well, it's just semantics and all that sort of stuff, but I think finishing 11th, it's acceptable, right? It's like it's not top 8, but
Sounds a lot better than 15th, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's probably reward for the season that's been. I think that's a fair indication of how we've played actually. So. Yeah, we need to win this game. Like we should have beaten the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. That was a bad loss, that one. But to finish 11th is where we need to be.
Obviously, we'll probably do a couple more podcasts in the off season, but do you have a clear standout for you as a player of the year?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Terrell May just for his output. Week after week after week, his consistency.
Quite freakish, though, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I don't look at the minutes for any other prop. I know, like, Payne Haas plays big minutes, but which other prop in the history of the game would have played every single game and probably 70-plus minutes in every single game of the year? I'd like to know.
Well, the history of the game, you go back to
Yeah, true.
the pre-NRL era, right?
Yeah.
And they all did it. But in the modern game, yeah, he's out there. He's out there on his own, and I reckon he's got better. Like I sort of thought I thought his impact was starting to diminish a little bit, midway through the season, and then all of a sudden, I don't know for what reason, but he
I
seemed to
think
get
the
no
signing of
lease
his
at
brother
all.
might have sparked him again.
Yeah, well, maybe that was it. But I reckon, I'm sure we'll talk about this to the off season. I still reckon all of them, the whole team, they were just so knocked about by the Galvin thing. I think it took them all a long time to recover, and Terrell May's no different. But I want to mention someone else too, mate. Like, because I've probably been a bit of a critic, and I've got to say, like when you look at it all and now that it's all been wrapped up, Jerome Luai's impact on our club has been incredible. And I was the one saying that I still want to see it on the field, and I haven't seen it enough on the field, and I'm not sure. Well,
You weren't wrong, though, Steve. If we go back to pre-season, you were the one saying, I'm not convinced he's a 7, and he's played his best football by far as a 6.
yeah, well, I think that's his spot, and I think the fact that Adam Dewey has played a real leadership role in the back end of the season as a 7 has helped him, a fair bit, I reckon. But his leadership of the club, and he's finding his groove, and he's finding his spot in the team, and I think it relates to what you just said then about him being a 6. I think all that's come together, and when you look at what he's done throughout this whole season, he's been pretty good for us as a club.
Yeah, I think he's been huge, even though he probably hasn't had the same impact on results like some of the marquee players, a Nathan Cleary or a Mitchell Moses. His impact on our culture, you can see now just through the social content they put out that it's an enjoyable place to come, for one, but they play for each other. They're connected. Like, there's only been really 2 games this year, Melbourne and Manly at Brookvale, where we were never really in it. Even Manly at Brookvale, Steve, it was, I think, 0-0 after 38 minutes.
Yeah, well, you're right. Like there's only been a couple of blights, so there's never been a game where you can actually sit there and say these guys have turned it up, these guys have given up, and here we are at the very last round. Like last week against Canberra, the effort was awesome. Like Canberra outplayed us, and they were playing to be the minor premiers, right? They had a lot to play for, and they showed it. But we really haven't turned it up at all, and right through the end of the season, we've put it all in, and I really want to see that again on the weekend.
His brother Taylor May obviously signed a train and trial probably 8 weeks ago now, Steve, and his impact's been immense. I think he's only played probably 6 games now, but the rumours are he's very close to a new deal, which is I'm sure music to the ears of all our fan base. 1.5 million over 3 years. I guess we were never gonna get him too cheap given how he's played.
Oh, well, he's a class player, mate. He's an elite. He's elite in his position, without a doubt. We cannot lose this bloke. I don't think we will. I don't think he would want to go anywhere. I think he'd be very comfortable playing with his brother. I think he's in an environment that he's enjoying. I think he's got a lot of respect for his coach. So I think he's really happy. I think we just have to come up with the dollars because, and I'm just guessing, but I'd be thinking that if we don't come up with the dollars, there'll be other clubs who would, right? So we do need to nail him down with decent money.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, let's rip into our potentially our last buy, sell, hold of the regular season at least. West Tigers squad as it stands right now will make the top eight in 2026, buy or sell.
Yeah, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy it. I definitely think we've got the squad that can make the top eight. I'm still convinced that if it hadn't have been for the Galvin crap, that we'd have made the top eight this year. I think it knocked Benji for a six. I think it knocked Jerome Loy for a six, even though he may not have said that or intimated that, but I reckon it did. I reckon it knocked the whole squad. So I reckon we were there this year. I don't think we've got the squad, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder for next question, but I don't think we've got the squad for top four, but I do think we've got the squad for top eight.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, Steve, that I look at the teams outside the eight, and there's a few of them there that have probably been well, they've definitely been more impacted than us in terms of injuries. I guess you could equate the Galvin drama for 2 months potentially with, it doesn't show up on the injury board, Steve, but that was a huge distraction for the club.
Yeah. Yeah,
South, like South, I'm just talking about teams like South, for instance, who've been absolutely decimated this year. Like I can't see them finishing on 9 wins next year.
but you've got this we've all got this crystal ball this time of year into the off season, and some of the supposed best judges that are out there, pick the Raiders to miss the top eight, right? And they're finished as minor premiers. So
Well,
you
the
really
bookies
just
had them
don't.
as favourites for Wooden Spoon, believe it or not.
Yeah, exactly right. So you really can't tell. Injuries need to be kind to us. We haven't got the depth. I think we're sort of building depth, but we're going to have more depth next year than we've had this year, I think. But we still don't have the depth we need. I still personally believe, and we've gone over this ad nauseum, right? But I reckon we're a front rower, an elite front rower short in our pack, and I still am concerned about the back row. I'm less concerned about lock now. But if an elite lock was available, you wouldn't knock it back. So I think we're short from being that squad that can compete with the top teams on a regular basis. But I definitely think the squad as it is now can win enough games to make the eight.
Question number two, West Tigers coaching staff will remain unchanged for season 2026. I know I'm getting you to look into the crystal ball here, but you're buying or selling it?
What I think, or
What you want?
what I
What you
want.
think? Go what you think first and then what you want.
Yeah, okay. Well, if it's what I think will happen, I'm buying it. I think it will remain unchanged. Or if there's going to be change, it might be extremely minor.
Hmm.
But what I would like to see is someone of tactical nous come in and
What about Adam O'Brien? He's made it pretty clear that he'd be willing to, not be the lead singer and take on an assistant's role, and he wouldn't be a threat to the head coach. I know Benji's not going to pick someone from outside his circle, it seems, but given that, Todd Payton looks like he's clung on it again, the North Queensland job, at least for another year, Adam O'Brien, I think, will be in demand from some clubs as an assistant.
Yeah, he's a funny one, isn't he, Adam O'Brien? Because he comes across as pretty laid back and almost a bit, you know, he doesn't really analyze the game with much depth. That's how he comes across, right? And that's obviously not the truth. But if you look at their record, the Knights' record of recent times, it actually hasn't been that bad, right? They blew out this year, but previous to that, he's done okay with them. So his experience in the background would be good. But to be honest with you, and I can't give you a name because I don't know who this person is, but I'd love the Tigers to find someone who's sitting just in the assistant coaches roles around the different clubs, that may be looking for a little bit more opportunity, that really nails attacking structures, defensive structures. Someone who's
Mm.
just going to tighten that up a little bit. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm being too tough, mate. Maybe our attackers got better as the years gone on. So maybe I'm
Mm.
thinking more early in the season, but that's what I'd like
I
to
suppose it
see.
depends if any. I mean, John Morris is one guy who might be open to offers from, an English Super League. You doubt he's going to get a head coach in the NRL, but he's done a solid job the last few years. And there were rumours below that Aaron Payne might not be here next year as the State Cup coach. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, but find out more in the next couple of months, no doubt. Question three, Steve. West Tigers will get another rabbit out of the hat signing like Terrell May in the middle of the off season. Buy or sell?
No, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it because I'm I'm of the opinion that the salary cap's pretty tight.
Our
So I don't,
salary cap.
yeah, I don't think there's going to be much happening between. I think what we've got now is pretty close to what we're going to. There might be a little bit of depth. They've got to find money now for May that they didn't think they'd have to find. They've had to find money for Dewey that they didn't think they'd have to
Mm.
find. And I think
They're going to have to
you
upgrade a few guys like Terrell May.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So there have been those upgrades. So I would say we're pretty close to what we've got now to what we're going to see start the season.
Okay, question number four. Jack Bird will still be in West Tigers colours next year. Buy or sell?
I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell it. I don't think he will be. My personal opinion is I'd be okay if he was. That's probably against what you'd agree.
No,
You'd think.
I sort of changed my mind a little bit, Steve. I guess I don't want to fall into that trap. It's like the Australian cricket team sometimes. When you're out of the team, your stocks start to rise because everyone else is going badly, or you know what I mean? Like, because he hasn't played for a month, you sort of forget and you look at our bench now and you look at Suka, you look at Murray, Seyfarth's come onto the bench. There's one other of there. Tristan Hope's played a bit of bench, and you think, well, Jack Bird is surely a better option on that bench. But I guess it comes back to your previous point about salary cap. If that's getting tight, it looks like the club's just sending a message to him, which is, sorry, Jack, we're not going to play you and try and force you out.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been injured, has he?
Not as far as I know, but he hasn't been made to play reserve grade either, which is probably fair given
Well,
he's an ex-Origin player. They're trying to, respect him, not sending him around for the Magpies every week.
yeah, and it's probably smart considering his age and
Hmm.
getting through a long season. But if he's been available to play and they're not picking him, I can't work out why they wouldn't have picked him ahead of Suka or the other fellas and Charlie Murray. No?
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all. I think he offers more than those guys. So I can only sort of assume that what you're saying is pretty right. Um, maybe they do. Maybe they don't think it's value for money. We don't know what they're paying because we just found out that the halfback at South, what's his name, Sullivan, he's not coming back. So, but we're paying
Thank God
coin
for
for
that.
him. So, don't know how much
Oh, I
coin we're
think Jack
paying.
Bird was about 400 for 2 years. So, I mean, it looked okay value at the time, Steve, because he's a starting player in the NRL with a lot of experience. But if you're playing 22 minutes a week, it's probably not value, is it?
No, no, it's not if you can get a similar output for close to minimum wage. But I still think, I still go back to the beginning of the season. I thought he was very good. I know he fell off a bit of a cliff, but gee, if he can get recapture that form from early in the year, he was valuable off the bench. He really was.
Question number five, Steve. Well, it's five or six. I've lost count here. I'm not sure. We're going to go with Latu Fainu will start next season, round one, off the bench. Buy or
Yeah,
sell?
yeah, I'm buying that. As long as Dewey's fit and ready to go, which is there's no reason he won't be. he'll start at 7. Luai will be at 6, and I think Fainu will be 14.
I guess someone like Galvin was it creates a false sense of what to expect from young players because you forget how young these guys are. Like I assume Latu's either 19 or 20. Like the likes of Cooper Cronk and Jonathan Thurston, they weren't starting it even at halfback at that age, Steve. Like we sort of think these young guys, once they start, they're just going to be, if they're no good in their first couple of years, well, they're not going to be the next big thing. But halfback's a tough position to master at an early age.
Well, I've been saying all season about the guy from the Dolphins, right? Like how Katoa, how good he is. But I've just noticed the last 3 or 4 weeks, opposing teams are really getting up on him and shutting down his space, right? And he's struggling, right? Because being a good half is all about good decision making under pressure, right? You'd agree with that. And I think when teams defensively start to work out what these young blokes' attacking strengths are, when they start to work that out defensively and attack them defensively, they don't have the arsenal in their kit bag to sort of go to plan B or plan C, right? And he showed us, right? Fainu showed us how quick off the mark he was and his lightning, right? So teams are watching that now. So now he's got to improve his passing game, got to improve his kicking game, got to get a whole game, right? It takes a long time, mate. At 20 years of age.
Yeah, that was the big difference between the teams on the weekend, Steve. It was just like, Fogarty, he hasn't got the legs in him, but he just kicked us to death. Whereas our kicking game, especially in those windy conditions, when we ran into the wind, we weren't getting our kicks deep enough. When we were with the wind, we kicked balls over the dead ball line, and that's somewhere where Adam Dewey, especially the way this modern game play, where a lot of teams play the same way, and they just try and jam you into a cage in your own 20. Like the extra distance he has with his kicks has sort of been missed the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree, mate. 100%. He makes a huge difference with his kicking game. We're just not getting the opposition to start their sets on their 10-meter line, right? And if they're starting their set and they're 25, they're 30, it just makes such a difference for the end of their sets. Then all of a sudden they're attacking us, which doesn't happen as much when Dewey's putting that fifth tackle kick in. But our kicking games, it needs work, like Dewey's a great option, but if he's not there for whatever reason, or if yeah, it's always good to have a couple of kickers. I reckon Luai and Fainu on those blokes, they got to work on their kicking game for next year.
What do you think about this tactic that they use? It seemed like a tactic on the weekend where we're almost just dying with the ball on the last tackle. I know teams don't want to risk seven tackle kicks, but I just thought, like in our case, you're coming up against the minor premiers. You got to do something to beat them. And sure, if you're Melbourne Storm or something and you're ahead of the game, it's all right to run the ball on the last tackle and take the tackle 12 metres out. But I just thought it was a little bit almost defeatist for us, just going to ground 10 or 15 out on that last play because we had a fair bit of ball in that Canberra half, the first half at least.
Yeah, I reckon our last tackle options have been pretty poor all season. Like it's one of the worst aspects of our game. I reckon. I don't know. Like, it'd be interesting to see the stats around how many restarts we got, or how many dropouts we forced. But our fifth tackle kicks haven't been great. How often do we score off our fifth tackle kicks? It's a real weapon for some teams. I don't think it is for us. That's for sure. So it needs to. I don't mind it, Eddie. Like when it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
Like when you're up by 8 with 10 to go.
I don't mind if they put it, like if they run it and there's actually a move on. But if they just run it to die,
Hmm.
if there's some sort of set play on, or we've seen that left hand side, like if they run it left and you've got targets like Samuela and Taylor May on the edge, I suppose it's not too bad. But there are a couple of instances on the weekend where I thought, Jerome's short kicking game when he uses it is great.
I think a lot of the time they don't want to take the risk of a seven tackle set,
No.
and that's why they do it. But that's a bit negative, really.
Yeah, true. Let's do one more, Steve. Canberra will win the competition, buy or sell.
Oh, gee, no, I'm gonna sell it. I don't think they will.
Everyone keeps waiting for him to fall over, and it might just be. I don't think you don't strike me as the sort of person, Steve, that believes in fate. But the amount of close games they've won this year, I just wonder if it's their year.
Mate, look, I'd love it. I'd love to see them win it. Like, it's just so much the same year after year. To have someone different in there
Mm.
at the grand final and actually take the prize would be awesome. But I just think, when push comes to shove, right, the Melbournes of this world and even Penrith from out of the top four, they've just been there so often and under pressure. I think they'll come. But it is open, right? It is open. Like Brisbane have got the team to do it. Like if they go on an attacking, they're probably not solid, right? You wouldn't want to put your last dollar on them,
Mm.
but they've got the attacking flair to do it. The Bulldogs, if they regain their form, they could do it. It is pretty open.
You know what's going to be interesting if the ladder sort of stays as is, and I think the Roosters will beat South. Teams 7 and 8, I, that they're two scary teams, Penrith and the Roosters.
Yeah.
I think one of them could make the grand final.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, look, Roosters are playing some
Mm.
good football and really above and beyond what I think anyone would have expected for the season that they've had. Um, they'll be stronger this week with Walker coming back, but there's just a little something. Wouldn't South love to knock them off?
I'm sure they would. Like why would you bring back Cameron Murray for 30 minutes this season? If
Yeah,
like I'm sure he wouldn't be playing if they weren't playing the Roosters.
yeah, 100%. And I would personally, I would love to see the Dolphins sneak in because they could cause some carnage, mate. With it, they are
I
such
think
a
they're
good.
finished though. They're not tackling, Steve. Like they're
No,
great
they're
to watch.
not. They're not. But they can score 40 points a game, mate.
Yeah, I think they're averaging against about 40 points a game as well the last
Yeah, yeah.
last
That's
four
that's
weeks.
fair.
But let's preview the Titans game. 5:30 Saturday, Steve. Probably the perfect time for this sort of game, given nothing's on the line. Although there is plenty on the line in terms of ladder position. They're playing to avoid the wooden spoon. Like if they win, they can jump ahead of Newcastle. Our record against the Gold Coast is pretty scratchy over the years, Steve. 28 games, 11 wins, 6 from 13 overall at Seabus on the Gold Coast. So a little bit better percentage overall away than at home. We did scrape home at Leichhardt about 5 weeks ago, Steve, but it was by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, it was. Look, this is an important game, and you sort of said there's nothing to play for, but there is. I agree that there is. Right? There's a lot to play for.
Mm.
We want to finish strong. We want to finish in 11th. That puts a stamp on the season and says the Tigers have changed. If
Yep.
we finish 15th, the argument quite justifiably is that the Tigers haven't changed that much, right? So we do need to, but it's scary, mate, because they're going to be playing for Foran in his
Des,
last game. They,
I
I
don't know
don't
if they're going to
know.
play for Des.
Yeah, I don't know what they think of him, but
Yeah.
he's coaching his last game with them. So
Thing about the Titans though is that they've got points in them. They're like a worse version of the Dolphins. They can score 30 but concede 50. I just think this is going to be a really high scoring game.
yeah, it could be, but I hope we don't go out there with that attitude. I
Mm.
hope we don't. It's not righto, boys. Last game, let's throw the ball around. I just want to see them play like they've played when they've played well.
Agree.
That point I've made before about we just seem to play 5-10% below whoever we're playing, right? I just don't want to see that. Like we should have beaten North Queensland. We've been a better team than them this year. We should have beaten them, right? And we didn't. We went into that. Let's just play a little bit under what the opposition's playing.
Mm.
I want us to go out there really intent on 100% concentration for 80 minutes.
There is one big exciting change to the team, Steve. The youngster, the teenager, school kid, just finished year 12 at Newington College. Makassini comes onto the wing. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, look, I'm excited to see him play. Look, to be honest with you, you're going to roll your eyes and think, oh, you've just been super conservative, right? But I would probably have preferred to see him just just get a good off season, pre-season, and come in fresh next year. But as a fan, I'm really keen to see what he's got and see the opportunity for him to show that on the weekend.
I know we've debuted teenagers in the past, but think back to Benji and that, and they were always slight frames. This one thing about this kid, and I can't say I've seen him play a live game. I've just only seen clips, but he's got the build. He's going to turn into a big boy.
Yeah, oh, yeah. He's going to be like. Well, I've only seen a little bit of him, but he, everything that everyone says and what I've seen of him, and as you say, his build and that's his skill set, he's going to be a weapon. He's got every opportunity to be a champion of the game, but so do a lot of players. He's just got to get out there and do it.
Alex Seyfarth is back in for Charlie Murray. I guess he's got a little bit of repair work to do because, that suspension left us a little bit short. I know he's a bit of a divisive player in terms of the fan base, what people think of Seyfarth, but I think in a bench role, he's far better than some of the guys we've had off the bench the past few weeks.
Yeah, he is. And he's got more impact than Charlie Murray. That's for sure. So yeah, he's an addition to the team that strengthens the team. But I don't know how many times do we have to forgive this bloke, right? How many times do you have to give him another opportunity? Like he's such a heartfelt player. He goes out there and gives it all, but he's just got to pick his moments and control
I
himself.
think
But
that was good play by the. Well, was he suspended against the Bulldogs? Was that the game he got 3 weeks for? It was, wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
I think that's 2 years in a row he's got sin bin against the Bulldogs, and I think there's no doubt. I don't know Cameron Serrato, but he strikes me as a very tactical bloke. I reckon they bait Alex Seyfarth, and he's sort of fallen for it hook, like, and line and sinker. And that's something that I think he's got better at this year. In fairness, there's been less flashpoints, but that
yeah.
was a bit of a letdown, that 3 week suspension.
There's a few blokes right in the game and in the history of the game that just can't seem to rein it in the moment. Like you saw it with Seafarth. Like the first one he threw the ball to bloke's head, right? That's a silly reaction, right? You got to hold, you just hold your nerve and not do that. But then he did, what was it a late tackle or a high tackle or
Oh, it was
something?
sort of one of those shoulders to the head sort of thing, but it was
Yeah,
30
that's
seconds
right.
after he got in
But
that scuffle.
you
So the
could
red
see the
mist had
minute he
descended.
sorry, the minute he did it, you saw his hands went up to his face and he was so remorseful. He just lost it in the moment, and he's got to somehow get control of that.
Alrighty, well, I'm not going to give a prediction for the game, Steve. I've retired from giving predictions. My one prediction is that it'll be a high scoring game. You can think the Tigers will win Saturday, Arvo?
Oh, I think if we turn up fair income, I think we should. I think we've got to get up on form. We've got to his kicking game usually kills us, so we've got to give him less time and pressure his kicking game. We've got to watch Jaden Campbell, obviously. Also Tino from the back there, back of the ruck, he can cause a bit of damage. But if we look after them and have good line speed, which we have shown of late. Our line speed and defence have been pretty good. If we can do that, I think we're a better football team than them. And this is the thing, mate, right? They're coming last, right? This should be a win. This should be 2 points easily.
Quiz time, Steve. I know you love the quiz.
Oh, really?
Multiple choice. Question one. Yioti, he must have known it was you coming on tonight, Steve, because he's got a question about Phil Gould, so it's going to make you even in worse mood. Question one. Benji Marshall's monster field goal against the Titans in 2010 at Campbelltown, I was at that game, was described by commentator Phil Gould as being how long? A. 50 metres. B. 50 metres and a centimetre. C. 50 metres and half an inch. D. 50 metres and an inch.
Well, he's old school, Phil Gould, so it's going to be inch. So it's either half an inch or inch. Um, and he's verbose, so I'm going to say inch.
You were close. Your thinking was on the money. Half an inch, 50 metres and half an inch. Question number two is true or false? After the first four head to head games, the West Tigers and the Titans shared the same record and points scored for and against.
True.
It is true. Titans 2-0 in 2007, West Tigers 2-0 in 2008, and both sides scored and conceded 76 points over four games.
I was just reading that before we came on.
Question number three, nearest to the pin. Well, you're going to be nearest, Steve, so you've won this one already.
No.
In 2016 and 2017, Corey Thompson, the winger,
Yeah.
played a bit under Ivan Cleary and maybe Madge, trying to think back, played 58 games for Widnes in the Super League. How many tries did he score in those 58 games for Widnes?
No idea. I'm going to say 16.
41. So
41. Wow, that's
absolute
pretty good.
try-scoring machine over there.
He was a great player.
Question number 4. Name the 3 one-off venues that we've played the Gold Coast at. Have a think of
One-off thing.
some of our home grounds that are not really home grounds, Steve.
Well, Tamworth would be one then, wouldn't it?
Yep, you got that right. That we beat them 30-14 in 2019.
Probably played them up at Brisbane in Magic
Yep,
One, did we?
yep. Suncorp.
No, that's two. And a third one off for the Titans.
It was the original Gold Coast Seagulls home ground, I reckon.
Oh, so Tweed Heads.
Well, yeah, it might have been called Tweed Heads back in the day. This one's Carrara. Were they called the
Carrara,
Seagulls before the Titans? I can't even remember. They've been called
yeah.
about
Yeah,
four
yeah.
different things.
I think it was Seagulls, yeah.
Carrara Stadium. Titans beat the Tigers in 2007, 30-14. Who am I, Steve? This one's just for the listeners because I'm telling you right now, you got no chance of getting it right. I was born in Sydney in 1986, a Manly junior who represented New South Wales under 17s and 19s. I made my NRL debut with the West Tigers in 2010, appearing in 2 games. I was captain of the Balmain Ride Eastwood team in 2011 and featured in 3 NRL matches. In 2012, again I played Cup, made 3 NRL games and was a member of the losing New South Wales Cup Grand Final. 2013 I played 2 NRL games. After my 11 first grade games were with the joint venture, all my 11 games were with the joint venture, returned to Brookvale in 2014, played lower grades but never first grade. So a West Tigers player between 2010 and 2013, predominantly was a standing fullback or bench utility. 1 game for New South Wales residents in 2010. Sean Meaney was the answer to that question. Well, there you go, Steve. We've done a podcast in about half an hour. I wonder why.
Quickest one ever because we're ready for cricket season, mate.
Who's going to win the Ashes?
Oh,
I think England's got a chance.
Cummins is out now. That's interesting.
All right. We'll save the cricket chat for the summer. Thank you, Steve. Let's hope the boys get a win Saturday night.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.